Why neighboring countries want a nuclear-free Iran and maybe most of all, a stable Iran, because the Iranian people are amazing people, an amazing culture with amazing potential. However, the theocracy that tends to control Iran right now seems to be in the way, and maybe, just maybe, this is going to be a new opportunity to move Iran forward as opposed to move it backwards. All that we ask for is a like and a subscribe because it does wonders for the YouTube algorithm and it really helps this channel out a lot. Let's continue. Iran's theocracy and nuclear ambitions make it a major regional destabilizer throughout the Middle East. It has inhibited world peace throughout the Middle East. And the scary point is, Iran tends to export its radical deal of Islam throughout the world. It doesn't build relationships, it really creates enemies. And so Iran's theocracy and nuclear ambitions make it a major destabilizer, backing terrorism, undermining neighbors, and threatening regional peace. We are exploring three themes today: a nuclear-free Iran, a shift away from Iran's theocracy, and long-term stability that the people in Iran have been longing for, and let's face it, the neighbors of Iran throughout the Middle East really would like to see, because that means economic prosperity and cooperation between nations. Isn't that a great idea? From Saudi Arabia to Turkey, learn who stands to gain and how a quieter Iran really helps make a more prosperous Middle East. So we've been talking about Iran in recent videos, and Iran's neighbors really want, heck, it's not revolution and it's not nuclear weapons. The fact is that Iran has been a bad actor for a number of years throughout the Middle East region, and their number one export beyond oil has been radical Islam, and that means there's been discord between its neighbors. Iran finances militias in Yemen called the Houthis, in Lebanon a group known as Hezbollah, and in Syria and Iraq as well. So Iran is behind the funding of all those organizations, and I'm here to say, folks, these organizations destabilize the entire region, and it's not for the good, it's for the better. It terrorizes families, it terrorizes countries, and it creates a tremendous amount of instability throughout the region. The fact is that Iran scapegoats Israel. Anytime there's a problem, they deflect from what their own human rights record is, and instead, what do? They blame Israel. Yes, Israel is the source of all their problems, and if Israel was just gone, everything would be fine. And of course, we know that to be obnoxious, that Israel really would like to work with all nations throughout the Middle East. That's the fact, and that's really what we like to see happen throughout the Middle East. A brotherhood of man and economic and regional stability. But Iran tends to be the country that's causing a tremendous amount of turbulence and stopping this thing from happening. The fact is that Iran exports terrorism, and they export ballistic missile technology, radical indoctrination, and they also export all types of threats to the Gulf region's security. And that, folks, is a problem. So what does a nuclear Iran mean? Well, now we're talking. Nuclear weapons are a weapon of mass destruction. The fact is that neighboring Iran see these nuclear Iran as a major destabilizer throughout the region. And let's face it, it could spark regional arms races between countries like Saudi Arabia, like Turkey, and that's no good news for anybody. Nobody wants to see an arms race, because the fact of the matter is, when there is an arms race of weapons, somebody sooner or later uses them. Lebanon and Bahrain, for instance, their populations completely fear nuclear escalation. Like nobody in the region wants to see this happen. The fact is that nuclear-free zones make it more than a preference. It's necessary for sustainable, long-lasting peace throughout the region. The fact is that Iran has a theocracy, and what the world really needs is stability. Iran's clerical rule suppresses internal opposition. In other words, it stamps down the rights of its own people. And maybe some of the laws that are associated with Islam's Sharia law is real, and it's really very, very old age, middle age type suppression of peoples and even women. The fact is that Iran also has sectarian and proxies throughout the region that are trying to suppress other groups of people with the same type of nonsense. Instead of opening up freedoms of people, they tend to tamp those things down. Gulf states like Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, fear spills over because of this radicalism that is being manufactured inside of Iran. And let's face it, there's economic damage done to all countries as well, because there's unrest, there's instability, and maybe this idea that this type of religious extremism is being funneled over, and that could be Iran's #1 export. Countries like Oman, Jordan, and Kuwait really want to make sure that this whole region stays as pragmatic as possible. They just want to get along with their neighbors, and they really want to engage a country like Iran that has so much to offer, but they don't want the militant nature of Iran coming to surface, and they don't want that type of engagement. They want to engage with Iran economically. They want to engage with Iran politically, but they don't need the religious nonsense. So what does a stable, nuclear-free Iran look like? Well, folks, it sounds pretty good. It would really promote diplomacy over missile proxies right now. And let's face it, shooting missiles at ships is not the way to build up your region, right? And it could actually lower the price of oil, and that really opens up more economic relationships and even boosts the various Gulf state economies throughout the region. And maybe most importantly, a nuclear-free Iran really means that it's opening pathways to normalize trade. Iran buffers regional economic fragility, and the fact is, when Iran is unstable, it makes everybody else around them unstable as well. So what are the scenarios for change inside of Iran? Well, there's civil reform and or revolution that leads to reducing meddling of Iran into other neighbors' backyards. Iran can also renegotiate as a nuclear-free country, and this, too, really is a sign of goodwill throughout the region. Maybe more importantly, Gulf integration between nations. The fact is that Oman, UAE lead diplomatic outreach to countries like Iran, and in this particular case, a nuclear-free Iran in a less militant Iran really opens up the doors of opportunity for economic cooperation for the entire Middle East, and that's something that I think everybody would like to see. So the big question is, would you prefer to see a quieter Iran, a less militant Iran, and most definitely a nuclear-free Iran? And hit a thumbs up if you want to see that, and leave a comment below, because your comments really do matter. And join me on the porch talks that we've been having. Those are live porch talks. We've been talking this entire week about Iran, Israel, the United States, and maybe a better world moving forward. Nobody wants to see further escalation. And folks, I want to remind each and every viewer here that the biggest battle we fight is the one between our ears, over our thoughts, our actions, and our attitudes. Remember, folks, that a healthy you matters most. And with that, folks, hey, I look forward to having you like and subscribe, because I can produce comment right to your inbox. Until then, I will catch you tomorrow, and maybe I'll even see you on the live porch talk. Have a great day.